What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm in the garage with the 335 because I'm replacing the injectors. If you have an N54, you know that injectors are a common maintenance item. So I'm gonna go over from start to finish the best way to replace these and why you need to replace them. So as you can see, I've got kind of a pile of stuff here. These are 6 Index 12 injectors. They're used. I got them off eBay, but as you guys know, these are very expensive to buy. Index 12 is the latest revision of injector, and you can see that number on the right side of the injector. You'll see a dash 12 there. So 12 is the highest number that they have available. I don't exactly remember what's in my car right now, but I know it's a much lower index number, and they've started to leak. So what happens is now we're going into the winter season here, and I found out after parking this car outside on a cold start, I'll fire it up and it runs terribly. Misfires, puffing tons of smoke out of the exhaust. It's just bad news. So what's happening is this direct injection motor, the injectors slowly are leaking down into the cylinder overnight, and that puddle of fuel is preventing the car from running properly once I start it in the morning. You're not supposed to have fuel in the cylinders. So that's not only bad for it running terribly on cold start, once the fuel kind of gets out of the cylinder there, it bleeds into the oil, so it's actually thinning out your oil, and that's not good. So if you're dealing with leaky injectors, you got to take care of it. Don't let it wipe out a bearing in your motor. So that's why I'm going through this today, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Now, if you guys are getting brand new injectors, say from ECS Tuning or FCP Euro with their lifetime warranty, yours is going to have a little cap here at the bottom of the injector. You'll remove that cap right before you insert the injector, but since these are used, I wanted to save some money, and I got these for about 500 bucks off eBay versus a retail of 1,200 bucks for brand new 6 injectors. I bought 6 new seals and 6 new rings for them here. You'll see that these little rings need to be replaced. So I'll be replacing the rings right here. This is kind of what seals the injector into the hole there in the head, and then I'll be taking off these old O-ring seals and replacing them with new ones. So it's pretty straightforward, that part, but you'll also see here I have my tablet, my K-decan cable, and then one of the most important tools we'll need is this is the injector removal tool. There's a couple styles of this available, but I'm borrowing this from a friend that works at a dealership, and he says this is what he uses. So how it works is it just threads on to the fuel line connection there, and you basically, it's just a slide hammer you'll use to kind of pull it out. So I'll be showing you guys how to use that. It's pretty straightforward, and the reason why I have the tablet and the decan cable is because we'll have to code these injectors to the car. Each one has a unique code, and I'll be explaining how to do that. So this is what we're using today. It's pretty straightforward. Let's just dive right into it. Now that we've got the cowl and the beauty cover off, the next step is to take these injectors out. So you'll see there's 6 of them going straight down the line there with a fuel line connecting it to the rail here. So there's 2 things we got to do. The first thing is to loosen up this connection. So we'll use a 14mm wrench to loosen up this nut, 14mm wrench to loosen up this nut, and then after I do that, we're going to use a E10. This is an external Torx bit essentially, and down in here there's a bolt that we have to just unscrew because there's a bracket holding 2 injectors in. So there's 3 of these brackets, one for these 2, one for those 2, and so on. And I'll show you guys a close-up of all that. But the first thing I'm going to do is loosen up the connection on this fuel line. It's important that the car has been sitting either overnight or the battery is disconnected. If you just drove this, once you loosen this, you're going to have some fuel pressure come out. So have a rag handy. Otherwise, if it's been sitting for a while, you should be totally fine. Let's get to it. So you'll see I've got my 14mm wrench here. I'm going to loosen this up, and I've got my towel to catch any fuel that might come out. It's not even making a noise, so that means there's no fuel to be relieved there. And again, it's not very tight, so it's pretty simple to disconnect that and this. And then this line will come right off. No mess at all since it's been sitting for a while. I wasn't sure, but as you can see, this is removed, and we'll remove all 6 of them going down the line, and then I'll remove that bracket. Now with all the fuel lines removed, we do need to unplug every injector. So you'll see on the left hand side of each injector there is a plug. I'm just going to put a small flat screwdriver down in there, and then this plug just kind of wiggles out just like that. So you have to do that all the way down the line, and then you'll also see this is that bolt that needs to be removed. So that's the E10. I'll go ahead and get this on there and start loosening that. I'll throw a picture up on the screen so it's a little bit easier to see, but we can go ahead and remove this whole bracket. And each bracket holds 2 injectors down. It's starting to get loose now. So this is the bracket, and it kind of holds each injector down like so. But now we'll be able to use that tool to get this first one out, since it's unplugged, the line's disconnected, and the bracket's off. So I'll go ahead and go through that step, but first I'm gonna get all the other injector brackets and plugs disconnected. And just like that, all brackets and plugs have been removed. Now this step is the part where we actually get the injector out of the head. And again, I'm using this slide hammer tool. I'll have a link for all the tools and the parts I'm using today down in the description below, so be sure to check that out. I've never used this before, so this is gonna be my first time. You guys get to see it live here. Basically, we're just threading in this end of the hammer onto the part of the fuel injector, the feed line there. And then basically we'll just be using this to kind of pull it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. And okay, that was super easy. I thought it was gonna fight me. Literally took 2 pulls. And this is my first time ever having these out. And you can see I've got oil on this injector. So that means the valve cover gasket on my valve cover here is starting to leak. I did not know that, but it looks like we might have to replace that on this channel as well. You can see the tip of the injector is very dirty, but we're gonna be taking care of this today. So let's go ahead and use this slide hammer to get the rest of the injectors removed, and I'm gonna show you guys these side by side with the new ones and explain the condition that they're in and the index of each injector. Last but not least. So as you can see, I've got all the injectors out now. That's the hole where they sit right in there, directly in the head. And obviously if the valve cover, which is this piece here, this black piece, the gasket for the valve cover is leaking, it's gonna drain oil down into each of those holes. Not only the injector holes, but the spark plug holes. This is a very intricate valve cover with lots of spots to leak. So what I'm going to show you guys now is the whole lineup of injectors. So what I did is I've got all of them here, and I put one of the new ones right in the middle, so you can see the difference between one of the new ones here on the bottom of your screen versus one of the ones I just pulled out. So this is a used one, so it's not brand new, but you can see it's actually clean, where on the ones I just pulled out of the car, every tip is just filthy, and there was oil all over these shafts. It's kind of hard to see now because I think it's migrated to the bottom, but you can even see there on the table just full of oil from the mating ring here. This is where it mates to the head. Downwards is just full of oil on all of them. So I think that means that my valve cover and valve cover gasket are leaking, so that is going to be a future project. But these are just nasty, so I'm glad I'm going to be replacing these with a brand new used index injector, or index 12. And if you guys are wondering what just came out of the car, these were all index 7s. So these are pretty old. I don't know if they've ever been replaced at all. This is a 2009 335. But index 12s are the latest and greatest. So as you can see in the middle there, that's what I got. 5 others are there ready to rock. So what I'm going to show you guys now is how to replace the seals on the very bottom and these coupler rings. So let's go over that and then get them installed in the car, and we still have to coat them. So now that I have the injectors out of the car, it's time to replace the seals at the tip there and also these decoupler rings. Like I said before, I have replacement parts for both of those, but I did realize that you need a special tool to remove and reinstall the seal at the very tip. As you can see, it's a very tight seal. You'll notice these two, I've got weird things going on at the end of those, but based on some other research I did, there's a way around buying the specialty tools using just pens, some electrical tape, and a razor blade. So I already cut off those two seals, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the seal on this injector. So let's go ahead and use this razor to remove this seal at the tip here. Now be careful, obviously these are hard plastic seals. You don't want to cut your finger, so you might be able to find a better way to do that. But obviously I cut the tip, or the seal off the tip, and you'll see that the new seals, I'll grab one of the new ones, they do not just slide on. So now with the new seal here, you're going to notice it doesn't fit on the tip there. It's such a tight fit, there's no way to press this down. This is a hard plastic seal, not a rubber one. So you're not able to just force it on. So what we're going to have to do is actually spread it open. And to do that, I've got a pen here. Just use a typical pen with a hard edge, and we're going to pull down on the seal enough so that it kind of stretches out the seal, and then we're going to slide the seal on the tip of the injector after we stretch this out enough. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. So you'll see I slid that way down there. And now before it shrinks again, let's try to get that on. Okay, so I just slid it on, and obviously you can see now there's way too much play in the seal. You know, this is not going to seal very well, being so loose like that. It's kind of hard to show, but you should definitely be able to see how loose that is. So this is where the pen cap and some electrical tape come into play. Now this is the one of the injectors I already did, and I shoved just a pen cap on it, and I have not removed it. It's probably been on there for, I don't know, 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and remove this pen cap and see what the seal looks like underneath there. Oh yeah. So now I'm spinning this, and this one looked just like the other one. Again, and I'll show you them side by side. You can see what's tight and what's not. So the pen cap trick worked the best, I think. I haven't taken off this electrical tape one yet. So this one, you just take a Bic pen cap and you just slide it right over, and you kind of just push it on nice and tight and let it sit there for a few minutes, and it'll compress the seal again. That one worked great. Let's go ahead and take off the electrical tape from this one and see what this one looks like. Okay, so I just removed that. I do not think it worked as well. You can see there's still a little bit of a gap there where this one's a much tighter, nicer fit. So moving forward, I'm going to use the pen cap trick and do this to all 6 injectors. And then we can go over replacing these decoupler rings before we put them back in the car. Now that I have all the new tip seals on and compressed, I'm just going to go ahead and swap out these decoupler rings. Pretty easy to take off. There's just the 3 tabs, then it'll slide right off. And I've got the new ones right here, and these just slide right on and push right in. So really simple. Do this for all 6, and then let's get them in the car. Now I have all the injectors fitted with the new seals and couplers, and the only remaining thing we have to do is jot down or take a picture of these 6 numbers here on each injector. I've got them laid out in the order I'm putting them in. So up top I have the first one, and then this one's going to be the 6th one. So I'm just going to take a picture of all of them with this number, because we're going to need this number later when it comes time to code the injectors to the car. It goes off of that number there. So I'm going to go ahead and record that for later before we put them in the car, but we need to know exactly which cylinder each injector corresponds to. So I just grabbed the first 2 injectors here. Remember, you have to put in 2 at a time because that bracket holds in 2 of them at a time. So I'm inserting the first one down into the cylinder, and just be careful while you're dropping them in. And then the second one down into this cylinder. And we'll plug them in, the electrical connections last. I'm going to grab the fuel lines. So you'll remember we had these fuel lines. Going to just loosely connect them. Just thread a few threads on. You want to get these started before we add the brackets in. Because the brackets will shift them around just a little bit. So I've got the lines just started, the injectors placed in the hole there. Now I'm going to go and grab the bracket to push them down. So again, we have this bracket here. We're just going to kind of snake it down into there. Now that I've got the bracket down in there, that was kind of a pain. Just again, make sure the injectors are straight. There's that little tab that holds them into place. And I'm going to start to tighten down this bracket. And we'll torque this bracket at the very end. I do have the torque specs for this. Alright, that is hand tight. Now the injectors do not move around, and we can go ahead and tighten this connection now. And just like that, these first 2 are pretty much done. I am going to go ahead and plug in both of the electrical connections. Now with all the injectors in, the connectors are plugged in, the lines are all tight, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten the 3 brackets to 20 foot-pounds. This is the torque spec on these brackets. And then I'm going to test the car, so I'm going to fire it up just for a second. They're still not coated, but I want to make sure that they're not leaking. So with those torqued down, I'm going to fire up the car real quick, and fingers crossed there's no leaks. And we're good. That was definitely loud, and it took a minute to turn over because there was no fuel in any of the lines, so it had to send the fuel up, then it got going. I did notice it still ran a slight bit rough. I'm thinking that's because the spark plugs are fouled out with fuel because the old injectors are leaking so bad. So I'm gonna throw some new spark plugs in real quick. I already did do a video on this. I'll put a card up in the top right here. So I'm not going to go over that in this video, but I'm putting fresh plugs in along with these injectors to eliminate any sort of problems. And then we'll finish up by coating these injectors to the car, and we'll be all finished. Well, you can see the plugs I just removed here are completely black. They smell like fuel, so I think these plugs were an issue. It's not a bad time to replace them anyway, so I got some brand new ones and just gapped them. I'm gonna just keep all this old stuff as an example of bad injectors, leaky injectors, and bad plugs, fouled out plugs. So I've got new injectors and new plugs going in. Now we're inside the car. I've got my tablet and my cable. I'm gonna plug the cable into the OBD2 port. I'm gonna turn the car on, not start it, just in the accessory on position, and connect the tablet here. And this is very, very easy with this app. Other DIYs are going to tell you to download some program on your computer and do a bunch of crap. This is super easy. So I'm going to link this app down in the description. It's called Pro Tool. Once we're connected, I will open up this app. You can use this app for a million different things. I just used it to code the new battery in my 135. It's going to ask us what connection we're using. I'm using the hardwire connection. I'm going to go ahead and connect. Yes, you can use this device. So vehicle connect. It's going to take a minute to connect, but like I said, I'm going to have everything I used today down in the description below. You can download this app. You can buy injectors, the seals, the decoupler rings, all that, and follow this guide from start to finish. Alright, so we're connected to the vehicle. This is super, super easy. Head over to drivetrain, engine, functions, injector coding. And in here you're going to find the values for the old injectors that we just replaced, and down here is where we're going to input the new values. So I'm going to pull up that photo on my phone real quick. Here's the 6 injectors I replaced in order. So as you can see, the first injector, we're going to hit injector 1 and type in the number 580181, confirm. Are you sure you want to code this injector with that value? Confirm. Operation successful. Injector 2, 562216. Confirm. Confirm. You see how easy this is? We're not having to download any crap on our computer. 578211. Confirm. Confirm. Injector 4. 578221. Confirm. Confirm. Injector 5. 573224. Confirm. Confirm. And last but not least, 557234. Confirm. Confirm. Okay, so these are all in. Everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and just hit back. Everything's done. It literally was that simple. So we can go back in and just verify all these match up. 580181. So it does say here the DME may adjust the last 2 values, but I can already tell all these numbers are what we typed in before. Everything's looking good. They're definitely not the old values. So I think we are all good here. I can go ahead and disconnect this. I'm going to put the call back together and start it one last time just to make sure everything's good. But that is how simple this is. Don't pay a shop hundreds of dollars to do this job. You can do it at home. And just like that, this video is over. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment down below. I will get back to you. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more content coming soon for all these BMWs. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.